Welcome to another special edition of Channel 6 Sports. I'm Brittany Breeding. For the next half hour, Taran Meyer will sit down with UCA men's basketball head coach Russ Pennell as they reflect on the previous season and talk about plans for the future. Taran Meyer has more.
Now you've had some time to reflect on the season since you've had a few months since it ended, or a month I should say. What have you taken away so far from last season?
Well, I think we grew a lot as a team from year one. We were much more competitive. We won more games. Even our losses were a lot closer. We just have had such a big undertaking in the first 2 years of being here, but I thought we took big strides toward where we want to be, and now I'm excited about the future and where we're heading. But yeah, I like the experience we gained from this year, and it ought to carry us into the 2016-17 season.
Now, what were your strong suits from last year?
Well, I think the best thing we did, we scored the ball. We wound up second or third in the league in scoring. We had the leading scorer in the league, and we led the league in three-point shooting, and we did a lot of good things offensively. And I thought our bugaboo was just we weren't very good defensively, and I think some of that was depth. Because I've redshirted some people, we just didn't have the numbers we needed. That'll be rectified this year. But that's the area I think we have to get the best at, get better at. It's on the defensive end.
Talk about your red shirts. You mentioned it. What are your plans for those red shirts? You know, some of them played a lot in the 14-15 season. So what are your plans for the 16-17?
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing we wanted to do, knowing we could not go to postseason play, go to the Southland Conference tournament, it made no sense to keep burning people's clocks, so to speak. In college athletics, you have 5 years to play 4. You're allowed to redshirt someone if you want. And the three guys, Otas, Ethan, and Thatch, the three we redshirted, actually all three volunteered. And I think they wanted the opportunity to compete for a conference championship, a chance to go to the NCAA tournament for, in Ethan's case, 2 years, but the other two for 3 years. Well, in the short term, it hurt us. We lost a couple of really close games that if I'd have had them available to play, I don't think we'd have lost the games. But big picture, they improved immensely. They spent extra time in the gym, extra time in the weight room, really getting better. And so I believe it's almost like we have 3 recruits that were setting out and practicing with us, and we get a chance to use them next year. I think they're going to have a big impact on the team.
So what do you see in the team for next year that gives you hope?
Well, I think you start with Jordan Howard and Derek Brooks and Matthew Kamba. Those 3 were outstanding this year. As we know, Jordan led the Southland Conference in scoring, broke the school record for threes, was first team all-league. I mean, accolades galore, 1,000 points in his first 2 years. I mean, he's living a dream right now, the way his career is going. And then Derek Brooks did what I anticipated he would. He'd have an impact on our league. I did not know he'd be the newcomer of the year, but that was quite a great accolade for him. And then I thought probably our most improved player from where he started to where he finished might have been Matthew Kamba. Yeah. And he has got the ability, I think, to be a Conference Player of the Year candidate at some point in his career. So having those 3 back is a great start. We need to replace Justin and Jake and make sure that the guys that are coming in can fill their shoes. I like, as we just alluded to, our 3 red shirts and then the 3 freshmen coming in. It should make for great competition. Yes. And that's the way you get better, when you have to earn your spot on the floor.
And competition's always healthy. You talk about winning battles, not necessarily wars, but winning the battles. What does that translate to for your team?
Well, I thought this year some of the battles that we won, just the fact we could go on the road and win a couple games. Granted, it was teams kind of at the bottom end of the league, but that's a beginning. Winning more home games, which we did this year. We had a chance. I think we had 10 games that we lost in single digits, so we were right there. So when you're going through what we went through the last 2 years, you have to have some things that you measure yourself by that the public really doesn't want to hear about, not really exciting for your fans. But as coaches, knowing what we want to do to build this program, those are benchmarks. Those are things you look at and you realize you're accomplishing your goals. So I thought those were some of the battles that we won, and that was probably consistency and just the fact that we competed every game.
And you alluded earlier to Jake Zulhoff and Justin Foreman. What void do they leave in your team?
Well, first of all, I'm indebted to them. The fact that they would come to this school knowing they would never be able to compete for a conference championship or an NCAA tournament berth. And they believed in what we were doing. They believed in their teammates. A number of those teammates they played with out in Phoenix. And I thought their leadership this year was superb. I thought Justin was kind of the alpha dog. He was the guy that would be a little more vocal, and I thought Jake led incredibly well with his consistent actions every day. We're going to miss that. We're going to miss the leadership, and that's what I hope they imparted to some of these underclassmen. And I saw a little bit of that this spring in our off-season workouts. Yeah. I saw some guys step forward, start being a little more vocal. I wish that Justin and Jake had one more year with us, but they don't. And they served their purpose, and we should all be really proud of the effort that they gave for the University of Central Arkansas.
Does their positions get filled by your current players or your incoming players?
Well, that's wide open.
Yeah.
I don't have any starters next year. That includes Jordan, and he knows that. What we do, we start over, and you earn the opportunity to be on the floor. So right now, we don't have any starters. You know, now the prognosticators will say, oh, they have 3 starters back.
Yep.
And we had 3 starters back from 2015-16.
Yep.
And so the other guys will get their opportunity. And we've made that very clear. When the season was over, we had individual meetings. We went over what we felt like each player needed to get better at. Mm-hmm. And we also challenged them on, being that next guy. And the opportunity is there. So, for instance, our big men, there'll be a great war going on between, Tanner and Albert and Otas and Ethan and even the new kid coming in, Jared Chatham, that we signed out of Los Angeles. All those guys will get their opportunity, and whoever does it on the practice court will get the chance to play, and the same thing at the Justin spot.
Now, speak on your incoming players. Give us a little preview of your incomers.
Newcomers. Yeah, we're really excited about the 3 freshmen that we signed, and I'll start with the first one, Aaron Weidenauer. He signed with us in the November period. When we signed him, he was about 6'5", and now he's up to about 6'7". And he's kind of a 3-4, outstanding shooter. Really shoots the ball well from long range. But he's a tough kid. He's bouncy. The thing I appreciate about Aaron is how badly he wanted to be a part of our program. And we were able to recruit him. He came in on his visit with his mom and dad, loved the place. And we're excited about him. I think he's going to bring just an element that we need, some toughness and another shooter on the floor. The guard we signed, 6'4", out of Wichita, Kansas, his name's Pennell. And Daraja is a unique athlete. He was first-team All-State. He was rated the 3rd best wide receiver in the state of Kansas, and he was first-team All-State in basketball.
Wow.
He was actually selected to play in both All-Star games, but he selected to play in the basketball one. But he averaged about 24 points, 9 rebounds a game as a 6'4" guard. I promise you our fans will love his athleticism. He might be the best athlete we currently have on the team, and that's saying a lot when you talk about Matthew and Derek and those guys. But Daraja is going to be an exciting player, a left-hander that can get to the rim, gets rebounds galore for a guy his size, and can really, really lock you down in defense. Then the last kid we signed is a kid named Jared Chatham that I mentioned a minute ago, and Jared actually had committed to the University of Denver. Their staff was let go, so he opened his recruitment up again. We got in on him. He's another left-hander, and so we'll have 3 now with Tanner and Daraja and Jared. But Jared's 6'9", and he's bouncy. He can really, really run. He's a high-jump athlete, in track, but he can block shots. I think he will give us some great depth. And I tell those 3 freshmen, you'll play as much as you earn. And so I know they're working hard. But we are really excited about this recruiting class. I think they could be the next wave of really good players here at UCA.
You expect them to have a big impact?
Well, I don't know about that. We saw what freshmen have as an impact 2 years ago when we won 2 games.
Yeah.
It's really hard for freshmen to come in. Jordan's a rare exception. And even as good as he was as a freshman, there were times that he struggled. And so what I always hope freshmen can do is bring energy. They want to play. They want to add to what we're doing. They can fill gaps. They can give you good minutes. Hey, if one of them comes in, surprises us, that beats everyone out, more power to him. Yeah. But if we're counting on freshmen, we'll get what we got 2 years ago. That's just the hardcore facts. And you talk to any coach in America, he'll tell you that. But what you like to do, you like your freshmen to come in and contribute.
You talk a lot about Jordan Howard. What has his impact been on this team since you've been here as the head coach?
There's so many areas of that. First of all, outside of UCA, it's been respect. Every time I run into one of our conference coaches, they talk about him, how they fear him. I even had one coach in the league tell me last weekend, well, you've got the best player in the league now. And whether that's true or not, that's kind of the thought process, and it's really good. On another note, when we recruit, especially point guards now, which we will need one in 2017, they know about Jordan. They've seen his stuff on YouTube. They've seen the success he's had. And you know, every kid wants to fill that shoes, and they see it as an opportunity. Well, if this coaching staff can get that out of Jordan, maybe they can get that out of me. I mean, that's the perception. Yeah. So that's good for recruiting. And then, more importantly, the impact he's had on this campus and on this team. I think Jordan is as well liked as anybody walking around campus. He carries himself well, and with all the success, he's very humble. His teammates absolutely love him. He's becoming more of a vocal leader. You know, Jordan's what's right about college athletics. You know, a guy who is a very good player but has outside interests, wants to do something with his life. And I'm just thankful we get the opportunity to coach him.
You know, he's a film major, and so he's in our department. We've got to know him very, very well, and we're just ecstatic to have him. He's always a good dude. He's always been really cool. So, and I know he enjoys playing for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And he's going to be successful in whatever he does.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We can definitely see it. Now, switching gears a little bit, what does being eligible for the postseason do for your team, not only confidence-wise, but also competition?
It gives us a goal, a tangible goal. You know, a goal a basketball player should always have is to get better. But the reason you play games is to accumulate wins, to have an opportunity to move forward, to measure yourself against other people, and you want to carry that as far as you can go. We haven't had that luxury the last 2 years. We've been playing. I think we've been playing hard, but it's really more about trying to establish the program, trying to get better. The individuals are trying to carve out their niche and figure out where they fit in. But now, having the opportunity to compete for that, it gives you a goal. And it's still going to be a tough challenge. You got 13 teams in our league. 2 of them are still ineligible for postseason, but the other 11, counting us, are. So and they only take 8. So it's not a guarantee you're going to make it. You still have to get better. But it's going to be nice having that opportunity.
What does it mean to you personally to have your family involved with your coaching here on staff?
I probably wouldn't do it without that.
Yeah.
That's always been the case. My daughter Morgan is a manager, and she's around us every day. My youngest daughter Emily is at the games. She's a big supporter. And then my wife Julie is, you know, she's the mom to these guys as well as mom to our own children and my wife. And they're so active in what we do. We have the kids over to the house. When we're recruiting, Julie plays a big part with the mothers that come in with their sons. It's the only way to make my profession work. Okay. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances that haven't been so fortunate. It's cost them their family. It's cost them their marriages. And a lot of it's because they get so engrossed in their work, they don't include their families, or their families don't want to be involved. And that's a long road and a very steep price to pay that I'm not willing to do.
Speak on your schedule for next season.
It's going to be very challenging in the preseason. One of the things that we do is we play a challenging schedule. There's twofold. The kids like to play it, and it helps out the university, helps out the budget. And so right now we've got Oklahoma State, Georgetown, Butler, let's see, and possibly a Big Ten team. Since that one's not done, I don't want to
don't divulge too much.
But it will be someone of that caliber. And then Arizona State out in the Pac-12, and then one other game to be gotten. So of the big boys, we're going to play 6 of them next year. Be a challenge. And you know what I really want to get from that more than anything? We played Oklahoma this year. We didn't play very well, and little did we all know they were at one point going to be ranked #1 and get to the Final Four. We've got to get to where we're competitive in those games. It's hard to win those games. You're on the road. You got their conference officials. There's a lot of things going against you. But like we did at Rutgers this year, where we had a chance to win the game, that's really my hope. Because if we play those teams and we can learn to compete against them, kind of regardless of what the outcome is, it's going to bode well for us when we get to the Southland Conference. We're also playing Little Rock twice. We're playing Arkansas State here. We're at Southeast Missouri and at Morehead State. So our schedule's challenging. As you notice, we had no Division II teams in there. I believe if we're Division I, we need to play Division I. However, we will play a couple exhibition games here against Division II, which is the only type of teams you can play in the exhibition season. So hopefully we'll get a couple of exhibition games, a couple of home games before conference play this year. And then conference starts early. We start New Year's Eve this year. And so we'll be ready to go, and it'll be here before we all know it.
Talk about your 2 games against Little Rock. You guys played them twice last year. You guys are going to play them twice this year. What does that mean for you guys?
Well, first of all, when I got here, Dr. Teague and the athletic director at ULR had made this agreement to play this game, and I think it's wonderful. I really do. Last year we played them over there about the 4th or 5th game of the year, and actually played them extremely well. It was a 3 or 4 point game with a couple minutes to go. We didn't play as well here in the first half, got way behind, played good the second half. And then, of course, we know Little Rock went on with the run that they had, winning over 30 games, beating Purdue in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They now have a new coach. Chris Beard moved on, and Wes Flanagan's the coach. I have a lot of respect for Wes and what he does. I think it's a great, great game for both schools. I think 30 miles away, 2 Division I programs, to play each other twice in the same year, once on each other's home court, I think it's good for the fans, and I'm looking forward to it. We need to make it a rivalry. Right now it's lopsided, kind of in ULR's favor, and so we've got to do a better job from our end of being competitive. But I'm really looking forward to those 2 contests.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us here. We wish you the best of luck next year.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.